This webinar is being recorded, so I will distribute the recording afterwards. The agenda, what we're going to go through in these next some 15 minutes, will be the background. Why is this component made, and what's it for? What's the concept, and what's the benefit for the organizations that use it? A little demonstration on part of it. What's the part that most will be used by the WorkPoint customers using this, and then a little bit about the pricing. So let's just go and have a bit about the background. Why is it that we need to deliver to National Archives? For those of you who are not in public service or semi-public service, National Archives is a thing that most democracies are having, probably all countries. They store information for future reference, and it's very common that public and semi-public organizations are by law obliged to deliver data and documents to these archives, and not just delivering them as a dump of Word or Excel files. They actually need to be in specific formats. There are very strict rules for how this should be done, and most National Archives have their own set of rules, which are often close to each other, but of course there are small differences. Our background in WorkPoint has been as for years we have been consulting and specifically with this to various government organizations, and we have over the years built up a lot of knowledge about what to do. So we decided to use that information we have, that experience, to build a specific WorkPoint component to do this. For the organizations involved, those of you who are in the public service will know that it's often a complex and expensive exercise to get the data out. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of staff manpower, internal staff manpower, and of course you'll need to hire in experts, specialists to either to manage the information systems in question, or to make sure that you deliver the archive information in the right format. And this delivery has never been really formalized. There are a lot of consulting companies out there do help with this, but as far as I know, none of them have put it into a proper system the way we've done with this. The process of all this is to first of all, the organization need to find out what is actually required from the National Archives, and often that's some kind of negotiation between the archives and the organization in question. The data need to be extracted from the system in question, or systems. They need to have proper description on what the data is and what it's meaning. They need to have all the documents in question extracted, and these also need to have proper descriptions. They need to be converted to specific formats. You can't just dump a Word 2003 file, because that will of course be hard to read 20 years on. And even worse with other formats. And also there is a special structure to how this should be delivered. I'm speaking here from the knowledge of the Danish National Archives, and to some extent the Icelandic National Archives. Other countries will have similar setups which WorkPoint Archiving can be adapted to. At the moment we're only delivering to Danish and Icelandic National Archives. So the concept is in fact 3 steps. With the WorkPoint Archiving platform as a platform, the software will support the process described above. First of all, there will be some consultancy, some advising from our consultants or from one of the WorkPoint partners consultants, depending on who the customer is. This will, for example, be all the project management. There will be a lot of information from the archives and the negotiation with the archives about how to do this and what they need to get. The requirements for the delivery. We will guarantee that when we do this, we also can produce a delivery that will be approved by the archives, because the archives will not just take anything. They actually have a testing system to test for whether the delivery is correct, is following their standards, and if that's not the case, then they will reject it and you will have to make a new one. But because we do this, we can also provide it by a fixed budget, so there won't be any surprises. That's the consulting, and of course there's some physical work in terms of actually getting the documents and the data out, which is what we're using WorkPoint for. And eventually we have another piece of software that will do the conversion and the structure of the delivery that will be the final archiving version for the archives. So these are the 3 steps, or the process. If you look at it a little closer in a little deeper technical view, we have kind of 3 areas where we have the WorkPoint environment. This is the part that the WorkPoint client, the WorkPoint users will see, because that is actually in WorkPoint. This is also what I'm going to demonstrate in a minute. This is where you as a user can go in and decide and choose the data fields, choose the documents that you want to have out, and also put in the required description that the archives needs for it. When this work is done, then this will be exported using WorkPoint export tool, and it'll be exported to an XML file that is basically the description of what is going to get out of WorkPoint. From here you will use, or rather the WorkPoint partner will use what we call the WorkPoint Archive Extractor. This is a piece of software that will read the description made by the users using WorkPoint, and it'll go in and read the data and pull out the data from WorkPoint. That data will be sent to a SQL Server database that's been set up for this purpose, and it will dump the documents on a specific file share. Now, some countries, actually a lot of them, data is not allowed to leave the country if it's, for example, public records. So this conversion tool will be in a secure server located within the borders of that specific country. Of course, the WorkPoint environment will be in the country in question anyway. So we're taking care of, if the law says that data cannot leave, we will make sure it stays in the country in question. Now, when this is done, then we have what we call the intermediate format of the files. From here on, we have another piece of software, the WorkPoint Archiver, which will read this data and convert it to the specific TIF files or XML files or whatever it is that the archives require, and present it in what we call the archive version, which is the final package of the delivery. And this final package is the one that can be tested against, in this case, the Danish National Archives system, so they can get it approved that this is actually correct. And this is where we guarantee that we will meet what is required for delivering these data. Sometimes there will be files or data that cannot be converted properly by the system, and of course this will be managed individually and manually with the consultants. This can be due to errors in the data, it can be due to some corrupt data format or whatever, but we will also take care of this. The system will alert us to all the places where there is a problem, and we can then address this problem and correct it. So this is the a little closer look on how it actually works, but let's have a look at the system itself. Now, this is a standard WorkPoint solution with a few modules, as you can see. Let's go into this is WorkPoint 365, but obviously you can also do this on WorkPoint on-premise. I'll demonstrate this from WorkPoint 365. This is where you go to the administration module. Now here you can see the dashboard with the various modules, and you can see the other menu items for those who are not familiar with this interface. We have here the government archives, which is just loading, and this is the interface where the users of the system will go in and work with the data they need to get out. So in this interface, I can have a look at the root list is less interesting, but the business modules is where I typically will have a lot of information stored. As you can see here, there is a contracts module, cases, projects, contracts, companies, internal cases, and I've already started doing something with the contracts. So let's assume that we now are in the process of defining what data do we want to take out from the contracts module. I can then define, okay, here we have the fields in the contracts module, so I'll open that and say all these fields are listed in the contracts module, and I've already tagged that I want contract type out. When I see what's happening here, I can see there's a description I've made, and let's assume that we also want to have another field out. Let's say we want the period end and the period start. So if we say the period end, and we can put in description. I'll just leave this empty for a minute. Further down we can see there's also lists, and here I have, for example, the document list. Obviously I want to have documents out. I have also here chosen the metadata that describes the document, and I can choose more, of course, if I want to have, for example, emails. It's very possible that you want to have emails, same process where you go in, you choose the metadata that you want with it, and then you add a description. Now I've added descriptions here, and I can then start to make sure I've done things right. I can actually validate, making sure that everything is right before I export. I can save, because I might have to go to and from. This can be a long process, so I might have to go to do something else and come back, so I can save my configuration. If we hit validate, we'll probably get a lot of errors here. First of all, I haven't even chosen a date set, so let's just assume we're having only 1 month. Typically it will be several years that you want to export from, but let's just do September. So here I have when all the period that I want to archive from, so any data starting here and ending here. We'll try and validate again. Now this tells me that the configuration is not right, because I'm missing a description for the field period start in the business module contract. That's this exact data field which I haven't put in a description for. So let's do that. Done, and let's see if we can validate it now. Okay, so the configuration is valid. So now I'm actually ready to, if I don't want to have any more data out, then I can start my export. So basically this is what the users do with all the data they need to get out of the system to file with the National Archives. Very simple process, going in and documenting things, telling what it's all about, and then eventually we'll export it as an XML file. Now this XML file, which I'll now open, will show me all the information in the system, just to make so you can see that something is actually happening here. Let's go and find the for example. Oops, period. Let's do period instead. So the period end, and here is the XML saying this is the period end file, and the description I put in, this is the description goes here. So this information is now exported As I showed in the overview, this file will now serve as the key for extracting all the data and files from the system using the WorkPoint software that will extract it to the intermediate format. This will be something that will be done by consultants, not by the users. But the user, obviously with the knowledge of the information in the system, will have to go through and very easily can document and define what is going to be extracted of the system. So very easy for the users to work with. And then from this end, we will convert it to specific archiving format. Now, going back to what does this actually cost, I said something about a fixed budget. We have a firm price list for this. The important part for the software perspective is the WorkPoint Archive platform, which is a monthly fee, and obviously for the month that you need to extract data for. So if you need to extract data for 1 year, then it's a 12-month time this fee. We have a fixed price for our advisory package, and then for the data extraction, a fixed fee for that, and plus per document we will take a tiny fee for each document. Same with the conversion. This is the extraction, and for the conversion to the archive version, there's also a fixed fee and then a per document. If we have some conversion of special documents, there's a little higher fee for them. We have support of quite a few file types, and I would say all the normal file types are supported, but obviously there could be something very specific in an organization. But this is how it looks, and with that I'd like to say thank you for your interest. I am more than happy to answer questions about WorkPoint archiving or direct you to a partner who can help you if you have any questions. My contact details are here, and if anything else, please contact me or our support. Sign up for more webinars on our website. Thank you.